Ranging from Darkseid to Sinestro to the Joker, the DC Universe has one of the most fascinating collections of villains in the history of pop culture. These characters have often left us in utter shock over their evil actions, and one hardly thinks of them as the poster boy for functional families. Despite their malevolent personalities, some of DC's most notorious villains have a family, or at least a child to look after. While this might come as a shock to many, these villains have managed to find some time to expand their legacy and keep the bloodline going. After digging around some of these family trees, today we have come to you with quite an exciting curation of the top 10 insane daughters of some of DC's most unhinged personalities. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Grail, daughter of Darkseid. Born to none other than the oppressive, sadistic ruler of Apocalypse, Darkseid, Grail was brought into this world along with the prophecy that established that she would bring about a great destruction to the world. She came into the world around the same time as Diana of Hippolyta, and she was actually birthed in secret by the Amazonian assassin Mariner. Among other people, an oracle named Menelope was present at her birth, and she soon predicted that Grail would bring about the destruction of the world once she grew up. Another woman named Penelope tried to kill the newborn to stop the prophecy from coming true, but Mariner used her assassination skills to defend her daughter and eventually leave Themyscira. Grail grew up into a fine young woman, and she was bestowed all the typical features of an Amazonian, ranging from her superhuman strength and stamina to immortality. She could also perform magic and occult rituals to summon her father to her, resurrect beings, and even travel across dimensions. Grail played a big role in the Darkseid War that ended with her father's death, but she eventually went on to revive him and turn him into her slave. Duella Dent, alleged daughter of the Joker. Appearing in Catwoman comics in 2013, Duella Dent was one of the most unhinged female characters to ever come out of Gotham City. She was born to a happy couple in the suburbs, and her parents soon realized that Duella was a strange kid who would try to trap spiders in a light bulb or create a corset out of wire. Over time, she started cutting her face with a box cutter, and her parents rushed her to a hospital where she had to get facial surgery. While the entire incident left her face quite deformed, Duella seemed to think she looked flawless in her new appearance, and this worried her parents to a great extent. She eventually decided that it would be best for her to leave home, which is when she wandered around the servers of Gotham City and came across the Joker's face. She soon donned his identity and scared people around her, which led her to gain a reputation as the Joker's daughter. She even ends up joining Sharon's tribe, but she eventually decides against accepting a permanent position after seeing how they boss her around the women of the tribe. While Duella was not related to the Joker, she surely did create quite a stir as his alleged daughter, and carried forward his legacy as a terrifying presence on the streets of Gotham. Lucy Quinzel, Harley Quinn's daughter. While the Joker and Harley Quinn have shared quite a special relationship, they have their fair share of secrets. Among other things, Harley, or Dr. Harleen Quinzel, decided to keep her pregnancy from him a secret, and only eventually revealed that she was having his child when he was going to kill her. Upon learning this, the Joker decided to spare her life, but not for long, and Harleen Quinzel had no option but to adopt her new identity as Harlequin. She also tagged along with the Joker on his conquests, and she eventually went into labor after they murdered Jason Todd together. As Harley went into labor, Edward Nygma stepped up to deliver the child, and they then decided to keep Lucy Quinzel in hiding away from their enemies. However, Harlequin was still not entirely convinced about their daughter's safety, so she eventually ran away with her and gave her to the Riddle's ex-wife, Kristen Wells. She would sometimes visit her daughter in secret, but Lucy mainly grew up in a crime-free environment with minimal contact with her mother and no interactions with her father. She seemed quite peaceful and calm, but she did display violent tendencies with age, especially after the death of Emily Nashton. Surenik Natu, daughter of Sinestro. Playing the role of the former Green Lantern of Sector 1417, Surenik Natu was the daughter of Sinestro. and she first made an appearance in the Green Lantern comics in 2013. At one point, she led the Sinestro Corps, but she had quite a turbulent relationship with a team that was once even taken captive by them. At this time, Sinestro was away, but he soon returned to the Yellow Lantern Corps and freed Saronic before appointing her as the Green Lantern ambassador to the team. Over time, he took her power ring away and turned her into a Yellow Lantern, but he was eventually injured during a fight with the Pauling. At this point, Saronic stepped up to lead the Sinestro Corps and protect the universe from any incoming attacks. Just like the other Lanterns, Saronic had access to all the powers that came along with the Quadrant Power Ring. She could conjure up force fields flying around and project energy, and she also had a whole lot of medical knowledge in addition to all these inherited powers. Talia al Ghul, daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Born to the infamous Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul is known for her role in Batman's story arc, among other things. She started in Gotham City and eventually succeeded Batman into falling in love with her, but this was revealed to be a part of her father's grand plan to merge the two bloodlines. He hoped that Talia's union with Bruce Wayne would bring her an heir into the world, and that this child could take over his League of Assassins one day. After Damian Wayne was born, Talia immediately started training him to be a part of the League, but he also spent a lot of time with his father, and even became the fifth Robin. Talia lived quite a chaotic life, and Ra's kept many secrets from her, including the existence of her mother, Melisandre. While Talia grew up believing that her mother had died while giving birth to her, Melisandre eventually disguised herself as a fortune teller to approach her daughter and tell her the truth. Talia spent most of her life training and working alongside the League of Assassins, where she picked up some excellent swordsmanship and martial arts training. Scandal Savage, daughter of Vandal Savage. Born as the daughter of an unknown Brazilian woman and Vandal Savage, Scandal Savage spent her early life in Brazil, away from the chaos and madness of the DC Universe. Over time, she was swept away in a scheme of Lex Luthor, who blackmailed Scandal and some other villains into fighting against the secret society of supervillains. Scandal then became a part of the Secret Six, and went on to fight the secret society on more than one occasion. With time, Lex Luthor finally relieved them of their duties, but Scandal had come to love and care for her teammates by then. She even developed a close, intimate relationship with one of the team's newest members, Knockout, and the two went on many missions together. During some of these missions, there had been several fatal attacks directed at Knockout, and it was later revealed that Vandal Savage actually orchestrated them to threaten his daughter into having a male heir for him. While Scandal's powers have not been discussed at length so far, she did have an enhanced durability to the point where she could regrow entire organs. She was also skilled at hand-to-hand combat and had managed to hold her fort in fights against Talia al Ghul, Hawk Ghul, and Fatality. Rose Wilson, Ravager, the daughter of Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. Born as the illegitimate daughter of Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson, Rose Wilson spent most of her childhood in Cambodia. She was raised by her mother, Lillian Worth, a Hmong woman who had crossed paths with Deathstroke and given him a daughter. At the age of 10, Slade and Billy Wintergreen came to get Rose, and they even killed her mother in the process. This incident had quite an impact on Rose, who strongly disapproved of her father's actions and decided to join the Teen Titans under Time Drake's leadership. She then adopted her new identity as Ravager, and she worked on a team for quite a while until Flashpoint. In the New 52 reboot, Rose dropped her Ravager persona and she worked for Nowhere as a mercenary. She eventually did go back to being Ravager in Tony Daniels' Deathstroke, and she even worked alongside her father and half-brother to defeat her grandfather Charles Wilson. She has had quite a fulfilling life journey, and she has certainly managed to step out of her father's shadow and accomplish great things on her own. She did inherit his metagene, which essentially gave her an unlocked mind and enhanced brain activity that helped her analyze difficult situations and their probable outcomes with astonishing accuracy. Lila Michaels, Harbinger, adopted by the Monitor, connected to the Anti-Monitor, also known as Harbinger. Lila Michaels was the adoptive daughter of Monitor, who rescued her from the sea as a young child. She was just floating away when he spotted her and got her on board his satellite, where he raised her to serve as his assistant and study the multiverse with him. Harbinger especially played a big role in the Crisis on Infinite Earth's story arc, wherein she was tasked with the responsibility of summoning all the heroes that Monitor needed by his side. She eventually settled down on Paradise Island during the events of the Supergirl from Krypton, and she also befriended Kara Zor-El, even if she often had visions of her death. Eventually, she ended up sacrificing her own life for a friend, and she died for a brief time before she returned to life as the Black Lantern during the Blackest Night story train. She had the ability to project energy, manipulate sound and darkness, and even fly around, and she seemed to have some form of cosmic awareness that helped her sense danger on Earth, and even when she was on faraway planets. She also had superhuman strength and hearing, and she initially had a bunch of other powers such as biofusion, chronokinesis, and teleportation. Vengeance, Bane's daughter. Raised as a clone of her father Bane, Vengeance was introduced as an antagonist in the Joker's comics in 2021, where she swore revenge upon the iconic clown. She was raised in a secret lab as a partial clone of the supervillain known as Bane, and she was often sent to deal with Santa Prisca's enemies while growing up. Over time, she did realize the true nature of her origins, and rumors of Bane's alleged death at the hands of the Joker finally gave her the kick that she needed to free herself. She then went after him and learned more about her existence as Bane's clone, and she was eventually hired by the Knights Templar to hunt Brielle Arnier down. Vengeance got her name due to her use of the super steroid venom that enhanced her strength and reflexes to superhuman levels. She did need to re-inject herself with the venom every 12 hours to retain her powers at the same level, but she typically did not need these powers for so long. Nyssa Ratko, daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Born around the year 1775, way before the birth of Talia, Nyssa Ratko was the elder daughter of Ra's al Ghul. She was raised by her mother in Russia, who often told Nyssa several romantic stories about Raz until she was eventually tempted into finding her father. Nyssa soon travelled all the way to his headquarters in North Africa, and Raz was left pretty speechless by her beauty and brains. He was particularly impressed by how easily she tracked him down, and then he started training her and allowed her to use his Lazarus pits. Unfortunately, Nyssa was not quite impressed by her father's plans to cleanse the earth, so she decided to leave him and start her life on her own. While Raz hoped that Nyssa would return by his side or give him an heir one day, these plans never came to fruition, and Raz was eventually so disappointed that he disowned her. Nyssa did have a hard time getting over this, and she swore revenge on him and even brainwashed Talia into following her. Eventually, it was revealed that this was all a plan orchestrated by Raz, so the two daughters would come together, and it did work as they worked in unison to lead the League of Assassins. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we come to the end of our video, exploring some of the most insane women who have been a part of the DC world through their parents' influence. While these villains have made quite a space for themselves in the audience's heart, we hope this video introduced you to their insane yet fascinating daughters. From Grail to Lucy Quinzel to more mainstream characters such as Talia al Ghul, we try to do justice to these family names, and do share your thoughts on them in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.